And just like that, we are back. Episode 3 with the ladies of Culture of Her. And it's 2023. It's a new year.
Yes.
How quickly did that go, right? I mean, yeah, salud, salud. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. We are already a couple weeks into the new year, but it's still January. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to sip.
So January.
You like my southern accent?
Yes, it's beautiful.
So we're just here and we're talking about different things, just flowing off our resolutions and what we want to do to be better women and to just really take advantage of the new year. And of course, every day we don't have to look further into the year. It's about day by day, right? So our couple conversations we were having just in general is, what are we going to do to hold ourselves accountable? Right? Accountability is so hard as an individual. And, I know there's multiple levels to being held accountable. And only we know what applies to us in terms of our accountability. I think it's a lot of, mental awareness of what we need to fix and what we need to change and what we need to be responsible for. So
I think we should start with our resolutions really quick, just in case people don't follow us on Instagram, where we did post ours. Mine would just be kind of just to focus a little bit more on my social media when it comes to my job, if it's, Violet Mirage, if it's ambassador, influencer, things like that, things that I am actually super passionate about, Culture of Her, really just home in on it and not let my mind do other things, my pageants. I have like the circle that I love to do and what I like to do, and I find myself doing other things and going other places and not really focusing on what I think I'm meant to be doing.
Yeah. And I think that's really important. I think that's a good goal, especially considering the fact that, like, a lot of times, like, what we do is not necessarily focused on what we want and what we're called to do. It's focused on the demands of our lives. It's focused on our requirements, things that we're called to do or required to do, and not so much of like what we want to do. Yeah. And so I think that's a beautiful thing for you, especially being a creative and just like a beautiful person who, like, it helps you kind of come out of that box. Like, don't allow people to box you in to the world that they want you to be in.
Yeah.
But it allows you to create that space for yourself and like.
She knows what I'm going for.
Period.
And flowing off that, you've got to be, less fearful of doing those things. And that was my, especially for me, a big thing that I want to change or fix in my resolutions is I just don't want to be scared. I want to go in and even if I am scared, I just want to do it. I want to tackle the hard things. I want to be able to feel the change that I'm creating because I'm actually doing things differently than I've ever done before. And just going for it.
Not being afraid.
On all levels, though. Yeah. On all levels. I mean, work, just knowing who I am as a mother, as a friend, as a sister, and relationships. Just not being scared and going in with a non-overthinking mind frame and just go get it, and see what happens. So...
Yeah, and I think that's good because a lot of times we live in our mind and we allow ourselves to be like, I mean, I know like the world and sometimes the world in our real life situations, there are limits. Like, I wish I was on Rodeo Drive or doing some stuff like that, but in real life, that's just not the story of my life. And so there are true limitations to some things, but we limit ourselves more than we think. And, there's that quote that says there's people who have less than you doing more, right? And so then we get upset or frustrated sometimes when you see people making opportunities or getting to certain things before you. But it's like you sat on your hands for so long. Yeah. You may have that gift within you and nobody even knows because you're sitting on that talent, Yeah. So I'm excited for you to have the opportunity and the space to just like break through that fear and like just kind of shine and don't care what people say.
Yeah, it's the saying, get out of your own way.
Yeah.
Well, fear's big. Fear controls a lot of people's goals from happening. It's the failing. It's just being afraid in general of what could happen if you do try it, you know? So I love that you are facing that and you're using this year to kind of just experiment with that and see where you would go if you do face those specific fears.
And a bulk of my fears are, should I do this or shouldn't I do this? Or saying yes when it should be no, or saying no when it should be yes. So, you know, it comes along with a lot of those things that make you like, is my intuition testing me? Like, what is going on? And that's a whole other thing. But that's fear, you know, and it's a test. It's a test of what we should do and what we shouldn't.
And a lot of people have that. And then you spend time like calling people and if you're waiting for other people to validate your next move, you're already behind. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Like you're already one step behind. And I know whether it's calling your mom or, you know what I mean, calling your sister, friend, cousin, and we all would like that confirmation. But in real life, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, sometimes, I don't know, I'm a faith person. So sometimes you just got to step, if that makes sense. Yep. And life and everything will meet you where you are in that next step, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Personally, that's my belief. No, but I love that. Everything happens as it's meant. Speaking of life happening, I'm just kind of rolling with it and taking it as it comes. I'm excited to just be in the moment of life, of self, showing up as my full self. I don't really have specifics. I kind of do, but I'm not focusing so much on those things. I think when I allow myself to be my full self and show up in those moments, everything will come to fruition as it's meant to be. I know that I already possess everything within me to be what it is that I'm called to be. I know that it's in me. I know that I can already do it. It's mine. I just have to show up and grab it and get it, right? Actively, be there.
I love that.
Yeah. Actions.
And so I'm just excited. I'm excited to show up for me. For so many years, I am everything to everybody, a giver, even in my profession, it just is. And so in this year, I'm excited to show up for me in 2023. Bars. Yes, bars. Showing up for me in 2023. And that's a real vibe. And self-care is not selfish. Self-love is not selfish. And it's
I love that you mentioned that.
Yeah.
I love that because people are scared sometimes to just take care of themselves, even if it's in a career, in a relationship, in family matters. They're just scared to take care of themselves and they always please others, you know? And I love that. You just said, taking care of yourself is not selfish, and selfish is not a bad thing.
No, and sometimes taking care of yourself is literally everything that you guys just said. It's following your dreams. It's doing what you want to do and not what others expect for you to do. There's so many young people, like you're going to college not because you want to go, but because that's what's expected of you. That's what your parents want you to do. And not that that's a bad thing, right? We're all educated women of our own rights and, whatever. And that's a beautiful thing. But living somebody else's dream is never going to help you fulfill your own. So you got to make sure that you're following. And we love our parents. We love our family. And sometimes, we're their legacy. So each generation is able to accomplish something. And they should. If you're a parent, the goal is for your seeds to bear fruit that maybe you weren't able to bear if you're sowing into them the right way. And so that's a blessing for your kids to have things you didn't have.
Raising our children, you want to live in your own truth. Eventually it's like, what is the truth of who you are? And, on my personal journey, sometimes I always question like, well, who am I or what am I doing? Because a lot of the outside forces do, it's like a cause and effect. You're trying to figure out, something can happen and you're just like, well, dang, who am I now? Like, you can have pain, you can have happiness, and all those emotions around us can either shape us or change us in certain different ways. It's always going to change our direction in some type of way. But, the biggest thing for me especially is to create a foundation of who I am so that stuff around me doesn't always cause so much of an impression on me where I forget who I am. You know what I mean? Because it's like, well, that's great that this and this is going on, but this is still who I am while the storm is going around, whether it's a good storm or a bad storm. But I think, trying not to lose who I am.
It's huge.
But finding who you are, because sometimes, when you're a person who is very, you may have different characteristics about yourself, but what is your main foundation? Who are you really? And it takes a lot of work for us to really know who we are in certain times, because you can go through different parts of life and you grow and you change. Your 20s are going to be different. Your 30s are going to be different. Your 40s are going to be different. And it's okay that we become different people on this journey, yes. But just remembering who we are.
Speaking about 30, I'll be 30 this year.
Yes.
That's like a whole new chapter. Oh my goodness.
Speaking of 30, it's my last year of my 30s.
Oh my
God. Selena's too. Selena's is coming up on 40. I'll be 39 in a week. And
right there.
But you know what? I was reading something, because I be reading. Prince just didn't keep track of his age. He's like, why I always look so, how Prince was. Rest in peace, Prince. He was like, I'm not keeping track of my age. I'm not doing it.
I mean, it's just a number.
It is just a number.
And sometimes it's a heavy number that you don't have to carry.
It's a heavy number. And I think like that now because, people are like, oh, you don't look 38. You don't. I'm like, I don't feel 38. But
I am 38.
But
I'm
what
proud
are you?
To be 38
right?
too.
But my thing is like, what is 38 really supposed to feel like for me?
True.
My 38 may not be your 38. We go through different things that age us mentally, physically, in totally different ways. So, I don't really hold that age with so much weight anymore. The older I get, I know it's a blessing to get older. But now I'm just like, great, I'm going to celebrate. But
so what we doing on
exactly. But it is what it is. And you just got to take care of yourself. And kind of the transition of like, what are you eating? Are you exercising? What are you doing mentally to keep that mind youthful, but also learn and have wisdom and grow and all that stuff that comes with it.
Exactly. And so as we recenter, for those of you just joining us, come on into the room. We are here. This is our New Year Better You vibes for the new year. And it's all about that as we kick this year off. This is what we're talking about. You may not necessarily have a coined resolution. It's not necessarily about what you want to accomplish, what you want to achieve. It's just really being mindful of, how to be a better you, how to make sure that you are on, how you're leveling up in life. And really it starts with change. Change is not easy. You have to take accountability for that change. Life has a way of happening without warning, without warranty, like it happens in a lot of different ways unexpectedly. And even in that change, you still have to show up for you. You still have to perform for you, and you still got to find a way to make it happen. And so we're going to talk about a couple things, clearly one of which, as Christina was hitting on, as people, aging is a beautiful thing. It's a blessing and a curse. But in this day of pandemic life and COVID life, we know far too well that tomorrow isn't promised. It is a blessing to see another year. And to me, every day is a new opportunity to start over, to start fresh. So I don't wait for the new year. Every day is a new day to start over. It's a clean slate. You messed up yesterday. Happy New Year today, okay? And so for some people, January came in with the same December vibes of last 2022. So if your reset is today or February 1st or whatever it is, shout out to you. But the gyms are loaded.
Oh my gosh.
We know that physical fitness and all of that is a real vibe in the new year. Yeah, I'm in the gym, and by February 1st, some gyms, it's like a ghost that can walk through there. But
I love gyms, but
I am a home. I like boy shorts, crop top. Like
I just don't want to be bothered in the gym sometimes.
No, I just like my personal whatever. Yeah. I really like to just wake up and go down to my vibe. I like to have my vibe and hit it. If I want to hit a midnight session, like I just feel like if I have to work too hard, like hop in a car, drive there. It's just so many, all the red lights.
Put my keys down.
It's just so many obstacles.
It's a lot of work.
Just too many. It's too many red flags that might stop me along the way.
I agree.
But if I could just wake up and I'm already
drink my coffee or energy drink, go downstairs.
Listen, it's on go. Yes. It's on go.
Yeah.
And so, speaking of which, so we all have things that I know Steph was like, oh, she would drop something, TMI, but Tell us about your gym vibe.
Oh, the gym vibe.
Because you dropped something and you were like, oh.
Well, I am preparing for a pageant, so I've been going to the gym more regular than usual. And let me tell you, it's packed. I go early, like 7 a.m. early. And
5 a.m. Wake up.
It's packed. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And obviously, I coach modeling, so I have a lot of time that I can, do what I want to do. If it's concentrate on Violet or the print shop or whatever, I'm like, damn. Oh, sorry. What are these people doing? Do they work? Well, because of COVID, I feel like a lot of people work from home now, but I'm like, they are packed. So I can't wait for February to see if it's still packed.
It might be half the people in here by February.
Maybe. But I also go in the afternoon and it's still packed.
Yeah, I don't like midday. First of all, it's the vibes for me. Like I feel like I'm at my best self, be it meditation, be it whatever. I'm most optimistic. You know what I'm saying? Like one wrong move, one wrong pop off, and I'm locked and loaded. Like, who want it? It just depends. Who gonna get it? Like, I don't know. Not that, and I want to do better with shifting.
Don't bother.
Yeah, like don't do that. But as the day, I start out at my best self. Especially, I like when the rest of the world is asleep. I feel like the world is mine. I own it. Because I'm the only one on the road. Even during the quarantine, like I loved it when you did the store runs and nobody was out because everybody was quarantined. You only went out for essential things. Like, I love that because it felt like you own the world,
It's my world.
That's how I feel when I wake up at 4 and 5 in the morning and I work out. The whole house is asleep,
Rolling over
but the world
4 and
is
5.
asleep. Even if you open your curtains and just let the sun in, like, the world is asleep and it's, like, all yours to, like, for the taking.
Selena, the sun's not out at 5 a.m.
Well, in the summertime, 5, 6. I mean, when the weather changes and the sun rises.
Is that how that's how you hold yourself accountable?
That is
your
my
accountability.
And but sometimes you can be too hard on yourself.
Yeah, I agree.
It can go the other way too, because you can get so anal that it's like, I missed my workout, so because some people are weird. I missed one day, so screw it. I messed up, and you just give up on everything. Yeah. Like, no, I'm about to hit that in the evening when I come home. Yeah. You can still.
Honestly, the gym doesn't have to be an everyday thing. People take it too serious sometimes. It's like, relax. Yes, we want you to be healthy. First of all, eating right is more important than going to the gym.
Yeah, in the kitchen. Abs are made in the kitchen.
It's funny you said that because my chiropractor. He was talking about one of his patients, and he's like, people are overdoing it.
Yeah.
You don't have to overdo it. You don't have to overachieve. When you're exercising, all you're doing is injuring yourself. You're pushing your body to a limit to do what? Right? So it's like, he's like, just exercise to exercise. Don't overdo it. And he's like, I've been seeing so many more patients, their hips are out, their legs. And he's like, for what? And they're like, oh, I did a marathon.
And they don't even know.
For what? Why are you killing yourself? Which I am not trying to hate on it at all. And
marathons are cool.
If a marathon is your goal.
But how are you? Yeah,
Some
but
people like
it's running. How are you hurting yourself?
Yes, but there should be a balance of.
If you ain't ran now. In about a decade.
I can hurt myself.
You gotta balance yourself. You ain't been on that track in how long now? You about to run a marathon?
I'm hurting myself within the first half mile.
Oh my gosh! No, I saw
a video pacing yourself.
That's
general,
important
with everything.
It's important. I did see a video on Instagram, and there was a young lady lifting weights, and for some reason, women are really into lifting heavy weights currently. And she was lifting weights. She was doing like the leg thing where you pull. And her knee just popped.
Yeah, I mean, our bodies aren't
popped. And I'm like, like you saw it on camera, and it's just like, relax.
Disgusting.
I didn't see it at first. I was like, what happened? But she like fell completely down. Like, and I'm like, people just need to.
And honestly, you don't, because there's so many people, and there's people who watch us of different ages and sizes, and literally they don't know where to begin. They know they want to be healthy. They know they want to do better, but they may not know where to begin. Not everyone can even afford a gym membership. So when it comes to physical, with equipment or just period. And so there are things, if you're a certain age, Silver Sneakers, check out your local Y. Once you get to 50 and over or certain ages, you qualify for free memberships to certain places because of higher risk, especially people of color. You're at greater risk for high blood pressure, greater risk for diabetes. And so there are things available to you once you hit a certain age to try to lower those risks, which are free Y memberships, especially for women and things. So look into that, because that is something. It may be water aerobics, where you just get in the water and move. It's very healing to your joints, whatever. Shameless plug, Slay Steppas, line dancing, check it out, Instagram. But on God, just play some music, walk around your house and just move. If it's walk in your neighborhood.
Go
just
out.
Walk.
Yeah.
Just walk.
Yeah.
You'll be surprised how much your body will respond to simply doing something you do every day, like walking.
And it doesn't have to be a lot.
What do they say?
Like 15 minutes a day. No. You could do some routines that require
put on your favorite song and just move. Move 10, 15 minutes a day.
But that also, the physical aspect also helps the mental aspect.
Endorphins.
Getting up and moving and
feeling good.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Feeling good reflects on a photo, on your personality, on your energy. It just gives out that vibe. So yeah.
When you feel good, you look good. And it's not even like a physical thing. Like that same positive vibe that you have, that accomplishment that you have for showing up for yourself in that moment, it'll show in your vibe, in your energy, in your spirit. It may not always show on the scale. It may not always show in your clothes, but it will show in your energy and your spirit, your positivity. And I think that alone is like literally a beautiful thing.
Oh my gosh.
And then on top of that, working out releases hormones, endorphins. When you're doing that,
healthy
healthy hormones. So that means it raises that positivity energy, that positive vibe, and makes you more happy, the happy hormones. So
and I know my girls, you guys be checking yourselves out in the mirror as you're walking at the gym and feeling yourself. I see that like every single time at the gym. That's a great way to also motivate yourself. You know, when you start seeing that difference.
We should motivate ourselves, especially on bad days.
And I don't think that that's a bad thing, because honestly, especially depending on your body, if you have more muscle weight than otherwise, muscle carries more weight than fat and other things. And so for me, when I'm heavy into my regimen, I'm not seeing my results on the scale. So yeah, I'm heavy in that mirror, heavy taking pictures. I'm seeing my inches. I'm seeing that. And sometimes it's that side by side image from day 1 to day 7. And so maybe you go grab from the dollar store or something, you grab you a small measuring tape to take your before and after
accountability
and measurements.
I don't care how much I weigh.
I don't pay attention to the scale. That's an old school vibe. You want to check those inches. You want to, that side by side, maybe the picture, stuff that because you see yourself every day, you overlook it, but it's there. Other people might see it.
I do want to talk about, because Steph said, I don't check my weight. I think there's a stigma with, skinny or overweight or like any kind of weight for women. We obviously are different sizes, but as a young, petite bodied women, I do want to speak on that we also do feel certain ways about our bodies. I think women might look at us and be like, oh, well, she's skinny and she don't have to worry about anything. And it's like, yeah, but I still think about being skinny. And I still think of like, am I eating enough? Am I producing enough muscle? So it's like, just like maybe a larger woman may think about and have these insecurities, skinny women do
also have
too.
them.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't want to look at the scale either, because if I've lost weight, which some, I can lose weight very quickly, and that does bother me mentally. So it's just like, we're all kind of facing the same storm. So we do have to have that mindset, that, the mental awareness and the accountability of leave it be.
And I think it's important.
Leave it be.
Just be respectful of everybody's preference, because while you don't understand, and even like I may not be bigger, I've lifted weights, I've worked out, I've done every sport. And so my muscle is massive. And so for me to try to shred and try to lean out, it takes a lot more work to do that when you're trying to do that with muscle. And for other people, it's like, girl, you crazy. You are fine the way you are. And it's like, to you.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Am me.
So it's like, respect my opinion and respect how I want my body to look. Same with people who are thinner. They may be thinner, but there are people nowadays who want to gain. Like whether you want to have a more shapely, like a thick fit type of body. We're more curvy fit instead of lean and thin, and you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
everybody has their preference
I mean, I want my clothes to fit right on
and you
every
still want to
edge
be
and
feel
every corner.
enticing and
And
sexy and like
sometimes when you're
whatever.
little, you're just like, I wish I could wear that,
Yeah.
but it's not small enough.
And
So we all have these like
just
these
be
things.
cognizant
Yeah.
and be very
Yeah.
mindful of what we say and not dismissive of people, especially in this season as we all are striving for that change and to be a better person.
I love
So
that. And it also works mentally too. I feel like if people actually listen to us and understand us, maybe they could give us actual feedback that would work for us.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Sometimes they're like, "Oh no, but you're good." And I'm like, "You're not giving me what." You know, it's like,
or
well,
don't
what can
say
I
anything
do?
at all. Just just
Listen.
look at me
Just
and
listen
listen.
and support.
Yeah,
Listen.
listen to listen, not listen to speak. And sometimes, especially when you're around women and you're supporting them, it may be difficult. They may have a difficult time where they don't want to hear what you have to say. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, can you just be there and just be there?
Right.
Like, let me speak, let me vent, because we love to vent, but it's healthy to vent and get all that negative energy and all that, whatever you have going on out of your system. But for sure, being around the right people obviously is a good mental tool too.
And I think mental health, which is our next topic, is really important as we embark upon this new year and this topic of change and accountability. We've seen so much in the media in regards to just mental health crises. I mean, crazy stories that you would think would be like a movie, like, I mean, I'm talking in the media, like real life crazy things where, in the times type of things. Like it's sad actually. And so as we think about mental health, it is real. It is a real thing. And I think that there are certain stigmas in certain communities, especially communities of color, where it's looked down upon for people to coin certain phrases of being depressed or of needing certain things. But this is where it doesn't matter what's being said to you, it matters what you're saying to yourself and the accountability that you're taking. You're the one who lives in that mental space. You're the one that can identify with that space. And so taking accountability to reach out for help, as Christina said, to speak up about those emotions and get some of that out. Speaking up is only the beginning. But when you know better, you do better. Or like once you acknowledge that there's a problem, then you then seek help for that problem. And there's so many resources, community resources and things because of the mental health crisis. I think we have to take better accountability to get the help that we need, regardless of what people may say about our situation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because it can really save a life. It can save your health. It's not even necessarily always like whether it's suicidal, whether it's, emotional, but it's literally just like it's preserving your life. Too much mental anguish ages you quickly.
Yeah, I think because we are, because mental awareness is very spoken and outspoken now, we are all looking internally and learning about why we feel this way, why we might have depression or anxiety. And with that journey, also creates us thinking more about our childhood and what we struggled in our childhood and why we are the adults that we are. And when you're an adult and you're struggling through things, you do have to take the time to learn who you are, but go to the resources and find a therapist to talk to or find a best friend that's going to sit with you in a non-judgmental manner and listen to you and find your circle that is going to be there for you because especially for women, we can have bouts of months that are very difficult for us. And listen to your body. If you need rest, take rest. If you need alone time, be alone for a little bit. But really be around the people who love you and don't give up on yourself. I think that's the biggest thing. Look at the bigger picture. because the bigger picture is going to be the most important. Just don't look at just today's a bad day, because tomorrow can be better. So in the mental awareness, just realize it. There's a bigger picture. And
Yeah, and I think like not, and even though I know that you said like a lot of people are looking more into it because when you think back to some of the old stories and even back then, there's so many things that weren't even a thing in the medical field
yeah, it wasn't
to
even
coin it
addressed.
afraid.
Yeah.
So we're looking more in depth because there's more research. But as individual people, I think there's still a whole demographic of people who aren't necessarily reaching out and doing a lot of that work. And so hurt people hurt people. And so although you may struggle with that, what happens is then those adults who are struggling with that then in turn are raising children without healing from their own journeys and creating more damaged situations. And so that is where this problem is becoming to be generational and
Yeah.
further perpetuating an entire society because children are not capable of finding those resources on their own. And so then now we got the behavioral stuff, whether it's through school, and that impacts the academic. But then you have so much more childhood violence, one to another, one because they're not equipped with the mental capacity to process all of this. They don't know how to do that. And unfortunately, if you have a parent or an adult who also doesn't know how to process through that, then who's guiding you?
I was just gonna
Who's
say that,
guiding
yeah.
the journey? And so this is a really important thing that needs to be tackled. And, nobody can come to you and say, you have a mental problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's not good. But, if you're struggling, with that, there are resources and different things available in your local community and areas. We're always available for you to DM us, reach out. We can get resources to you. So if you don't know where to look, we are always ready and available to get that information to you as well.
Via email, via social media DM.
Facebook,
and the quote
Instagram.
does say, it is okay not to be okay.
Yeah,
It is
Exactly.
okay not to be okay. And as a human and just as a woman or a man, I think mental health does not discriminate.
Yeah.
If you're rich, if you're poor, if you're middle class, whatever it is, it's okay not to be okay. Seek help because your issues, the things that you're thinking about, they are real. It doesn't matter how little they are. It doesn't matter how big they are. They are real because they're real to you. And I think finding help, finding people that really can listen to you, not just tell you what you should do, but really listen to you and be there for you is so essential
Yes.
in life and in anything that you guys that
Yes.
everyone does. So just pick your circle very, very wisely. Surround yourself with people that support you, love you unconditionally, and talk about those issues because I'm sure, I promise you 110%
You're
you are
not
not the only
alone.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not the only
Yeah.
one.
And I love how Stephanie said even men. One thing that like
Mhm.
it was on the Breakfast Club and it was a couple guest speakers, even a famous rapper whose name I won't say, but you can look up that episode, who shared his mental health journey, and they were just so vulnerable on that morning talk show that day that I was on my way to work actually. And he had broken up with his girlfriend at the time, but he shared his own personal journey of his childhood drama that trickled into some other things, but they were vulnerable enough to say, man, when you said that you thought about doing certain things or you struggle with whatever, it was like, wow, me too. But that was the first time that they had heard
it
a
shouldn't.
man,
Yeah,
a
it
manly
should
man.
not.
Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? So to have men finally coming out, and I'm not that it matters what type of man, everybody should be comfortable speaking their truth, owning their truth, and living in their truth. But I'm talking like the cool boys are now
The ones that don't
coming
cry
together.
in
Yeah.
front of people.
I mean,
But
not
I
that
mean,
it shouldn't
but if you
matter
think
though,
but if you
but
think about it,
you
if
know,
our men seek the help that they do need to become
the man they
better men
need
for
to be.
themselves, they in turn become better men for us.
and the
They in
family
turn
and
become
everything.
better men for the children. And, the other day I was writing down, it's like it's a roller coaster. And, I've been diagnosed with certain things, like especially like PTSD. I know that's a little bit personal, but I do have to take the time to, set myself aside as a priority to make sure you don't fall back in certain things. And it's, you have to make yourself a priority in that way. And I take the time and I write down, well, why are my triggers so strong today?
What are
my triggers? And what can I do to be accountable to fix this? Fixing my reactions to things, fixing my emotions to things. And for a man, their emotions are different than a woman. Obviously, they don't have the capability to be as emotional as we are, so they already have that
barrier.
They do.
Block.
But they should be. They should. It shouldn't be like a thing that they can't have emotions. They can't cry.
Yeah,
I feel like.
Break that mold.
To play devil's advocate, I want to say not all men. We don't want to generalize. We don't want to generalize because there are some men that are very, very mature and very articulate in the way that they handle their emotions, the way that they handle their women and their woman's emotions. So they are very well versed in the handling and the care of their emotional ties.
They're connected
and
to those
emotions. And they know how to govern those. And it's a beautiful thing when you see it. It's an amazing, beautiful thing, especially if you never experienced that. It's a beautiful thing. But I will say, on a grand scheme of things, you would assume not so much. But I the whole purpose of me mentioning that, though, was just the fact to see them rallying around each other. Women, we've been always the sister circle, the girls club, the Girl Scouts.
Go to the bathroom together.
Like, we have Girl Scouts. Boy Scouts eventually became a thing, but it was more macho stuff. But, like, it's a beautiful thing to see these grown men beginning to rally around each other. And there's intentional efforts and programming being put into place all across the nation for these mental health efforts for men, especially men of color, who systematically, society, systematic structures, they've been raised and taught to hold certain things in. Not because they want to, but because literally, historically, that's how
they think it's supposed to
be. Speaking their mind it's not even that's how they think it's supposed to be. Yeah. It could cost them their life. You speaking your mind, RIP to you, especially men of color.
And that's scary because
so they weren't allowed to do that. Yeah. And so it depends on how you were raised, old school grandparents. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so now here we are in a society where you want people to express. And it wasn't just that we just celebrated Dr. King's it wasn't that long ago. We're looking at 50-something years.
Yeah.
It was not that long ago.
And I think people forget the change that was created, or the struggles that are very prevalent today and still needs worked on
because of those.
You know what I mean?
Systematic structures.
It wasn't that long ago. And when we sit back and realize, like, we still have so much change to do, we still have so much love and support to throw out there. And on top of that, it's about the healing journey for all of us, men, women as a whole. What are we doing to be accountable for our healing journey, so that we're not bleeding on other people, so that we're not taking it out on other people, and gosh, we can all probably share plenty of stories of how we've done that to, I took it out on this person, but I love them and I feel bad for that. But at the end of the day, we're running back to accountability. But what are you doing to fix it?
And that brings us to our third and final point, which is the topic of emotional and your emotional well-being. And so, emotions make us cry sometimes, right?
And it's okay. I'm a cry,
and that's
baby.
Okay. But and there's happy tears, and there's so many other ways that people express ourselves. But in real life, as we said, it's important to take care of you. And I want to make sure that we focus on not just the negative, because some people, there's a lot of people, especially in this younger society, where your happiness is contingent upon something or someone else. And that right there already puts you in the negative.
Girl, preach.
I'm just saying. So if your happiness, if you can only be happy if you have a man, or if you can only be happy if you got money or a job. Like, I'm gonna be happy with or without that job, with or without that man. Like, that happiness is within you. Like, it's in me. It's not on me.
Girl, you gave me chills.
I'm just saying.
Because that is true.
I mean, anything, like, don't get me wrong. There are things that make us happier.
That bring you
But
happy,
I personally just feel like everything that you request or require, you should already have.
Any needs should be personally met already. Yeah.
You should already possess everything that you require. Yeah. So if I require love, attention, affection, money, finances, security, from anything and anybody else, I should already have that. What are you bringing to the table, right?
You are extra in my life. Yeah, I want you there. Bonus. I don't need you there. That is the biggest thing. And I always
want you, and I love choosing you.
Yes, choosing someone to be in your life rather than needing someone to be in your life is a huge, huge difference. Not only for you, but for them. It's sometimes heavy to be that person for someone. Yeah. And sometimes it's scary to know that you are the one thing that brings happiness to the woman, or the top two things that brings yes, it's draining. You want to be able to add to someone's happiness, not be someone's only happiness. And when you figure out what makes you happy, when your financials are all there, when you know what you're bringing to the world, yourself, your future family, and you can bring that extra person in and give them that.
They're adding to you. They pour into you. You pour into them. They pour. It's a constant. You will never be depleted. Your well will never run dry. Yeah. It's about the outpouring.
And I also think it includes the vulnerability aspect, because of course we're all coming in. We've all had trauma. We've been hurt. We've had breakups. But are you being vulnerable to the person who wants you? Yes. Can you be vulnerable enough to just come in and say, hey, all right, let's heal together, but let's do this because we're choosing to do this. I don't need you. I want you to be on this journey with me. Yes, there are things that I am responsible and accountable for. There are things you're going to be responsible and accountable for. But are you choosing to do this together? Because together, I mean, that's obviously the goal. You can be so much better off together if you're thinking together, but also allowing each other to grow in individual spaces, because we're all growing at a different time.
But when you're hurting together, that's hard.
And those are the conversations that you have to have. Why are we hurting together?
And I think it's important to pay attention to like who your energy shifts around, because it's not always relational, right? It's not always boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. It's not always like in that domesticated. It's also friendship. You got to make sure that even in those friend circles that they're pouring into you equally, because sometimes our friends do a lot of pulling from us, right? They do a lot of needing, like, hey, I need you to da 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 da. But then when I'm in my not so good place, can I call you? When I'm in my solo dolo place, can you do a mall run with me? Or do I gotta do that on my own too? So, I think it's important to make sure that everything is in balance, and not even just relational. Your personal, emotional health is really important, especially as adults, because, children and people, they watch what we do. So if you're only happy when you have a surplus of things, then like whether it's finances, I've seen grown adults like, I ain't got no money, so I can't like, oh, so your happiness is contingent upon that money. And so then you have kids, well, my internet is cut off, so I can't do, or my TV, it's like, okay, the sun is shining, it's a beautiful day, go outside. And so then that's where we have the children who then can't find joy in solace or joy in playing outdoors or go to the park and find peace. Like, it doesn't cost money to have a good time. It doesn't cost money to be happy. And those are the things that we instill, you know what I mean? Like that old school, turn everything off. It's okay to just go back to the basics.
Yeah, or even reverse. It's, if you do have the money, it's not always just about having money. It's exactly, or just give you something or give you everything. It's like also the emotional. Where's the emotional? So it's like a balance. You have to have a balance. Yes, you want to be financially stable, but you also want to be able to give, if it's that family, that friend, that relationship, that emotionally like the connection that you need to build whatever it is that you're building. If it's the friendship, if it is a relationship, a future, a family, you want to be able to nourish that as well. So it's like having that balance. Some people rely on the financial, or when they don't have the financial, they feel a type of way, or when they do have it, they only rely on it. And there's so much more, to a connection than money or not having money.
Exactly. And I just think it's the world that we live in. Everybody's focused on getting to their next. And so as we process through this idea of new year, new you, and new resolutions and new whatever, I think it's really important to take a minute before we go making our next list and just jotting down what we want to gain and what we want to get. Take a minute and be grateful for what we already have. Yeah. Take a minute and be grateful for what we've already accomplished. Like, that's something that is important. Like, think back to last year.
I definitely have to do that.
Think back to last year. Like, take a minute and jot down what you achieved. There were some things that you probably didn't even think about how you were going to make it over, how you were going to be able to accomplish that thing. And look at you sitting here right now in 2023, like, girl, you made it. You made it, Pooh. Look at you sitting here doing just fine, right? Yeah. And so it's important to celebrate your achievements and indulge in that moment. But our society is all about moving on to the next, and getting, like, Christmas wasn't even over. Valentine's stuff was already out. So it's like, can we just take a minute, And so as we prepare to close out this amazing episode 3, we just want to make sure that in this new year, it's important that to take care of you, take care of yourself, take care of your well-being, and more importantly, take accountability and be the change that you want to see. Nobody else can be that for you. Nobody else can give that to you. And so as we embark upon this new year, you might fall down. You might fall down, but never out. You might fall off, but you could get back on, but be the change that you want to be. Take accountability for everything that you want.
So as we wrap up, number 3, what are you going to be accountable for, Stephanie?
I'm gonna be accountable. I'm gonna be accountable. Spanglish. I'm so sorry. My Spanish just came out there, but I think just like I said before, just focusing on Stephanie and what she wants to do, and really focus this year on my businesses. It's just like I don't know how good they could be without me giving my 100%. And I think this is the year where I feel ready for it. I don't want to put too much pressure on myself as well, but if I don't do it, nobody else is going to, right? So I want to just push myself to do that and see what could happen at the end of the year. See where I'm at after I really do put all my efforts into that basket,
What about you, Selena? What's your accountability?
My accountability is me. That's it. I mean, it's kind of piggybacking on what Stephanie said, but it goes directly into my resolution. Like, showing up for me is my accountability. Like, I have to show up. Like, I'm showing up for people who, who wouldn't cross an ocean for me, cross a river, cross a street, and it's like, if I can do that for them, how dare I not show up for me, or how dare I not pull a late night for my own goal, right? Yeah. It's like we stay up late. We do so much for, whether it's for work, for, other requirements, but then when it's your turn, right?
It's like, I'll go to bed.
Yeah. And not even with your business. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, you have to clock in for you. There's nobody else. It's your business. You're the worker. You know what I mean? So same. I'm showing up for me. I will be accountable for me. But I'm also accountable for who and what I allow people to do with me, how they handle me. Everybody doesn't get access to me. It's a privilege to have access to me. And that's on God. I know who I am and whose I am, and I know what I bring to the table. In a lot of aspects, I am the table, and I know that. But I'm walking in that power in this season.
That's already a lot of pressure to begin with.
Yeah, so, and it's not okay, but I'm cool with it. I just have to navigate it a little better.
And some people don't recognize that power. It takes time. It takes a journey to recognize that. So once you're there, you better just step in that and just take it all in. Yeah. I love that. How about you, Christina?
I am going to be accountable for change, a redirection and a realignment in my personal life as just Christina, not thinking about expectations, what other people want, who is in my life, who's not in my life, but just really sitting down with myself and having those hard discussions about what patterns do I need to break, what bad habits do I need to break, what habits should I be doing that are actually good for me, and just really catering to my soul and making sure that, most importantly, more than anything, that my soul remains happy and kind. I mean, I feel like I'm already a very empathetic person, and a lot of people take advantage of that. So I feel that I'm getting to that part in my life where you've got to start picking the weeds out. Who can stay, who can go, who's going to help me be fruitful in the next years and the next adventure in my life. And I'm going to be accountable for that. I'm not always going to be nice, and
that's
hard for me.
Yeah,
it's very hard for me because my heart is always so big. My heart will remain big, but it's going to be bigger for me and mine. And just keeping that mind frame and keeping that strength inside of me I feel like will change directions in a good way for me.
That's good. Yeah, I'm so excited for, honestly, all of us to just take that journey for this year. And for Culture of Her, it's just, it's a journey I think that we, all three of us, are constantly learning and growing together. And I don't think I would have met Selena throughout Culture of Her. So, it's just blessings that are just keep coming into your lives with new things that you do. So I'll just leave you guys in this, I think, very long episode that open whatever doors open, go through them very openly as well, and accept what you want and don't accept what you don't need. There's also a way to say no, and there's a way to say yes, but don't be afraid to walk through that door and see what is on the other side. And you might end up in a whole different chapter of your life that you never thought you would be there. So give yourselves the opportunity. It's a whole new year, a whole new day, like Selena says. Every day it's like a new year. And I love that concept because sometimes we put too much pressure on ourselves for the new year. But yeah, guys, just enjoy the year. Bring your best foot forward, but don't put too much pressure on yourself.
Change is a beautiful thing.
Here for that.
Seize the moment.
Well, good luck. Thank you for listening to episode 3. We have plenty more for you guys. But just, stay happy, stay healthy, do what you can, hold yourself accountable, like my ladies said. And
cheers to 2023.
Have a good one.
Cheers.
Until the next episode. Cheers.
Bye, guys.
Bye.